higher? What is higher learning? What is higher learning? What is learning? Higher long and winded and fluff as fuck is what it is. Jesus. Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Tyra here with another struggle review, here to discuss Higher Learning. Now this movie is from 1995 and it stars Omar Epps, Tyra Banks, Michael Rapaport, you know, 90s people. Now before I get into why, even though this film still holds a lot of meaning, it is very much so still clear that a 25-year-old wrote, produced, and directed this film. I need you guys to drop down and subscribe to my channel and like this video. I'm going to give you guys a moment to do that, and then we're going to come back and discuss all things Higher Learning. I swear it just kept going and going. You know how this new Batman movie that came out, it just seemed to go on forever, and just when you thought it was going to be over, it was just more scenes on top of scenes that didn't really need to be there. There was a lot of that here. A lot of Higher Learning. Could have been shorter learning, better film.
Go back.
Now that you guys have hopefully subscribed to see more of me, let's get into this movie. But before we jump into the video, I have to give a shout out to the person who paid for and requested this movie. If you happen to get your whole nostalgia life, it's not because of me, it's because of this person right here. Thank you so much for supporting me and supporting this channel and giving us this Higher Learning. Now, getting into this movie was directed by John Singleton, and this was his third film. And I feel like going back to reflect on a few of his films now, I've, reviewed Rosewood, Boys in the Hood, Poetic Justice, and now Higher Learning. Boys in the Hood was definitely his magnum opus. I feel like he had a clear vision for what he wanted to say. It was executed so well, so much so that that movie will always be revered as one of the greatest movies. Not just hood movies, but just a great movie, period, that will always stand the test of time. And then we get into movies like A Higher Learning. Now, of course, this is his third film. He has, a wider range, a bigger budget, a bigger vision, more aspects to incorporate more, whereas, Boys, I need to be very precise in execution because this was his first opportunity versus Higher Learning, where he's more established, a little bit older, and has a lot he wants to say from a 25-year-old black male's perspective in 1995. Now, was it executed well to its full potential? Does that mean that this is a bad film and there isn't anything that you can take away from, even still to this day? Absolutely not. Now, getting into the movie, we follow three freshmen as they all arrive on the campus of Columbia University for the very first time. We get to see just how different each of their college experiences are and how they're each affected in the end mentally, culturally, and physically through their race, racism, roommates, sexuality, frats, friends, parties, racist ass campus security, and the campus overall. Now, first we have Malik here, portrayed by Omar Epps. He is black, he is a star athlete, and he runs track. Now, he is extremely cocky and is trying to wrap his head around not being that big man on campus that he probably was in high school, the star of the team. He is struggling to wrap his head around working for his scholarship, maintaining his studies, and what it means to run at all. Cocky as fuck, y'all, just downright getting on your nerves. We also have Kristen here, portrayed by Kristy Swanson. She is a white girl. She's very friendly, very trusting. She's trying to discover herself, but at the same time, she is a bit naive. Real Lilith Fair, real 90s. And then lastly, we have Remy, another white student. He's a male. He's reserved at first, really quiet, and he's a simple metalhead. We have each freshman make assumptions about the other, and we have each one of them try to get in where they fit in. We have whites with whites, frat parties, beers, and blunts. And we have blacks with blacks, bud, hip hop, and the fucking butterfly. Now we have the rest of our cast fleshed out here with other black students. We have Regina King here as Monet. She is also a freshman, a round-the-way girl from Compton. And we also have Buster here as Drez, aka in the movie just loud as fuck, no direction. I swear he just gave Buster a part and said, "You go stand over there." And you gotta remember, this was old Drez Buster. 5 new flavors on beat. This was, I really think you should be cheap while we blow up the street. Hey, instead of cotton, please just freeze. Maintain your focus while we smoke these marijuana trees. When I get down and disappear, we appear and blow up everywhere with the fucking flavor in your air. This was loud ass Drez Buster. And we all know that John Singleton was not one to shy away from hiring rappers to be actors in his movie. He reached back into boys and pulled back a few people for this film, including Ice Cube here as Fudge. Here to let you know, boy, oh boy, I make dough, but don't call me dope, boy. This ain't no fucking motion picture. A guy a trick, a nigga get with ya, a hit ya, taking that get to the neck. So you better run a check, check yourself before. Sorry. Now, Fudge is that one student that you feel like maybe has been there in college a bit too long. He is very comfortable. He's conscious. He's dropping knowledge to anybody who will listen. Very pro-black, very much so woke black brother. But at the same time, he was on some shit too. Going back to watch this, outside of the transition of Remy and whatnot and his character, the one that I was like, oh, the most to was Ice Cube's Fudge character. Watching this back then, you couldn't tell me nothing about Fudge. Fudge was everything. He was righteous and rightfully so in all of his positions within the college. Now going to watch this again, I was like, what a little asshole. He ostracizes both of his white roommates, Remy being included, forcing him to go out, get the campus security, who already has a disdain for any black person walking on campus. That's another video for another day. But he's very much so loud. He's constantly flexing his authority, his power, blasting Al Green, all them good oldies in the background, but feeling very possessive over everything. And anybody trying to come in and step on any toes, especially if you're not black, you can get the fuck out of my face. Fudge today would be the equivalent of those really pro-black people constantly dropping knowledge, on Twitter, Instagram, leaving messages and whatnot. But unlike people, Twitter fingers, seemed like Fudge was probably about that action a little bit more. But Fudge had absolutely no pause. One of those people, no, my brother, your mind. See, my brother, your mind is stuck in the past. You're a slave. You're still a nigga. Like, well, damn, nigga, let me relax. Damn. Anybody who was not on his higher plane of consciousness, they were, left behind. There wasn't just a sense of him dropping knowledge, but there was this superiority of, I'm a little bit more conscious. I'm a little bit more woke. I'm aware of certain things in the world that you haven't, reached a higher plane to be on, so that makes me superior to you. It just felt like he was above everybody. Now, being down, being pro-black, being a conscious black brother, is that a beautiful thing? Hell yeah, we need more of it. But does that mean you get to ostracize and belittle certain people or even your own at certain times? Absolutely not. Get the Fudge out of here. Now, even though we do have the three of them trying to get in where they fit in, we already have the message of the movie in place via the roommates. Some of us are going to get along and some of us we just aren't, but it all depends on the person. And even though people are kind of falling in with their own kind, it is possible to coexist and be friends with someone of a different race. We have Omar Epps and his white roommate. They are getting along just fine. We have Kristen and her black roommate, Monet, getting along just fine, even though they come from different dynamics, different backgrounds, different walks of life, different financial status. Then we have Remy and Fudge. That shit, and also his roommate, other white roommate, is hot ass mess. Everybody is not going to get along all the time, but it is possible. We even have a very brief moment of Remy and Malik's character playing a video game, and it's just like, oh my god, you want to play a game like you want to hang? You can clearly see that prior, Remy doesn't have any prejudice really against anyone. He just wants so desperately to fit in and constantly feels like an outsider. And we see things gradually begin to separate more due to them all being affected by outside thoughts and people. Child, then we get into, oh, you think I'm a sellout, Mr. Williams, Mr. Peppermint. Peppermint. If they breath just stink, just say that, peppermint. We have Lawrence Fishburne here as Professor Phelps, aka Furious with the accent, out the hood. Like, just like Furious in Boys in the Hood, Professor Phelps is here to give everybody a wake-up call. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, like anybody. All your ass finna get woke up. Get your ass up and take your asses on down to financial aids. There will be no free rides in life, and definitely not in my classroom. Now, I love those moments where they all, especially Malik and Kristen, both get sent down to financial aid to show that they have more in common, but they would never know because they don't actually interact with each other until the dead ass end of the movie. Like, we are both struggling to write papers with our studies, maintain, but we don't know anything about each other, and we are placing judgment just based off of race. He is struggling in the sense of, you know, at that moment he didn't have a full scholarship and didn't really know what it was going to take for him to get one, so he's struggling financially. Kristen, from the outside looking in, you know, she's preppy, she's rich, Orange County, Disneyland, white girl, all the while her family doesn't have the wealth that it once did, and she is struggling financially just as much as the next person, and also struggling to write papers for Mr. Williams' classroom. But nobody would know anything about each other because they never took the time to speak to one another. Now, this movie did speak on a lot of topics, and it really made this movie feel ahead of its time. It speaks on a lot of things that film, culture, just period, that are getting shed on light still to this day. You know, going to college and how much it really costs, the sacrifice and how much debt that it actually leaves you in, well, some in the end. You know, certain statues that are placed at schools, institutions, being dedicated to figures that held on to slaves or did other disgraceful deeds like a Columbus, or even the date R-word culture, or even being an athlete in school running for a university. You know, the whole run nigga run ass comment, like very much so giving slave, very much so giving contract. I have to, you know, endure harsh labor, sacrifice my body, my time, give my efforts. I am made to be my best, be a machine for this school. Also, I can just go here and make something of myself. And in the end, what does it all really mean after what I had to do to get it? Run, nigga, run. Now we have the movie really begin to intensify when we have the dynamics change for all three freshmen, especially white Remy. Now, unlike Kristen and Malik, Remy just could not find his footing anywhere, white or black, leaving him as an outcast and a loner. Now, Remy just happens to find his peace amongst a white supremacy, neo-Nazi ass group / gang. I love the way that it was depicted with him being alone, and he was spotted and targeted and preyed upon by their leader. And that even though Remy was really put off at first, it turns into excitement for him, like, oh my God, even though this is a neo-Nazi white supremacist Aryan brotherhood, pure white brotherhood ass group, these are the first people to acknowledge and accept me. Though I'm new to this, I don't really agree with a lot of the things that they're doing at first. Shit is really like low-key off-putting, but unlike every other circle I try to initiate, introduce myself, get my way into being accepting. Nobody accepted me except for this group. Nobody cared to know anything about me or acknowledge me except for this group. And I'm gonna go where I'm loved and accepted. If any other group, any other person had accepted or befriended Remy up until that point, we would have probably had a totally different outcome. But they saw him, and that leader, he saw an opportunity to have him soak up everything that he had to offer, good or bad, because he saw that he was an outcast, very much so, just like a game. And I was so glad to see that John Singleton had enough initiative to put things in here to show that this neo-Nazi group was very much so a gang like any other gang. You always see there, oh, it's a hate crime. They're everything but an actual gang. They're always referred to as a group. But once you see the process at which they kind of prey on Remy, pull him in, give him the knowledge, make him feel like he needs to prove himself, and he soaks it up like a sponge because that's all he has. He is seeking, unity, seeking family, seeking acceptance. And here is a group providing me with this. So if I have to soak up sick ass knowledge, if I have to shave my head, if I have to put aside some of my beliefs in favor of some of the things that they are teaching and soak it up and act out certain acts just to prove myself, I am going to do that because I don't want this to be taken away. What are my other options? Now, of course, us on the outside looking in like, fuck Remy, you had a bunch of fucking options. Now, we also have Kristen here who experiences date R word from a person that she trusted. Even though on the outside looking in, you can totally see the type of guys these were. These were, frat buddies. They take privilege and, body counts and doesn't quite understand that no means no. Get a condom means go get a condom. Stop, I'm unsure, I'm intoxicated. You are taking advantage of me. Kristen, being, free-flowing ass Kristen, peace and love, didn't acknowledge that this was maybe an unsafe situation. Felt like she was safe with these girls that weren't really her friends in the first place, and felt like she was safe with these guys. Although, when we were first introduced to Malik in the elevator, we felt the need to, clutch our pearls and clutch our purse. Because, all black niggas steal purses. Like, Kristen just did not know which way was up, and it placed her in an unfortunate situation that she does not report to anybody. And we see her attacker, Billy, get the smallest of the smallest ramifications, if any at all, courtesy of Fudge and the homeboys, because he decides to call Monet a black bitch. So they roll the fuck up. Like, this was a lovely scene. Like, who's not gonna like that scene? Because we would never see that shit now. We would never see it. We'd be like, oh, he called you a black bitch, world star. You just gonna let him talk to you like that? Like, no, we're not fucking having it. Who the fuck is it? Point him out. And I feel like they would have had Kristen's back just as much if she had told somebody what was going on. We do have her walking with Jennifer Tilly early on. She's telling her about the blue lights, about being safe, about the phone, just giving her, trying to open her eyes a bit, and they are just absolutely closed. But I feel like they would have had Kristen's back too. But they didn't know nothing about that situation, so they just rolled up to ensure that you better apologize to this beautiful black woman. You better call her the black queen, the black goddess, black magical being. You are my African queen. Ow, the girl of my dreams. You take me where I never been. Hey, you make my heart go ding-a-ling-a-ling. She make my heart go ding-a-ling-a-ling. You better apologize to this beautiful black woman and don't ever let that shit happen again. Now, we do have Kristen later on confide in Jennifer Tilly's character, tell her about what happened to her, and she kind of lets her know that it's not your fault. We shine light on that culture of, if I do tell someone, I'm going to be shamed. They're going to say I asked for it, I was drinking. Shedding light on shit that still needs to be constantly shed light on today. No absolutely means no. Child, and then we get into Tyra Banks here as Deja. I feel like fighting. I feel like beating people up. You don't think I'm mad? I fight with this. I don't fight with this. I fight. Oh, everybody knows Tyra Banks cannot act. You totally see all the favoritism here. This is her first role. This is a John Singleton film, at which at the time she was John Singleton's girlfriend. Like, unless Tyra is Eve's grade, no matter where she goes at the mall, unless it's Eve, shine bright, shine far, be a star, Tyra stay from acting. No, just all we need you to do is smile and give us, those struts down the Victoria's Secret runway. Everybody ain't meant to act, boo. Now, Deja is a runner also. They begin a relationship. She helps him with his homework, transitional phrases and whatnot, and gets Malik on the right path, along with Professor Phelps, to buckle down and get serious and realize that no matter the limitations, racism, what's going on around you, hurdles, be better and rise above and keep going. Because every time something comes up missing, who do you think they look at? Huh? Who do you think they look at? I feel like fighting. I feel like beating people up. But it's like, I fight with this. I'm getting mine. I don't fight with this. I fight with this. Smiles. Now we have the three of them change. We have Remy get more and more immersed in that Nazi culture. He starts to participate in a lot of the fluff in the movie of them doing racially motivated attacks on certain peoples, plotting when they really low-key outside of Remy didn't really plan to do shit in the first place. We also have Kristen become comfortable again, even though she doesn't name her attacker. She regains her confidence, tries to buckle down in class, and tries to get involved in this peace rally, courtesy of Jennifer Tilly's character. Now, that was not enough. We also have her become really conflicted with her sexuality. Between a guy and a girl, and honestly, this is one of the storylines that I didn't really care too much for, and it seemed to kind of drag on forever and be on the nose, very much so a product of its time and very reflective of John Singleton's male gaze narrative. And it didn't really feel like this was a conscious decision made on Kristen's part, mostly because we have the assault happen first, and it really feels like she was, becoming experimental and wanting to use Jennifer Tilly's character as more of a crutch than, just something that she really wanted to do, especially with her going back and forth. And they also have Jennifer Tilly kind of represented as this preying, predatory ass lesbian that's trying to, throw her gayness on Kristen. And I was like, what? But that's how it came off via Monet and Kristen, her kind of being indecisive about what she wanted to do and who she wanted to be with. It just really, no. And we also have Malik, who is dealing with not only the racism surrounding him, the profiling surrounding him on campus, also the random ass bullshit Remy decides to pull, pulling the whole gun, the whole fight, the whole chase down, where they decide to go after the black brother instead of the dude actually holding the gun, harassing people, calling them monkeys and Jews and all these other derogatory ass on the nose terms. Really, Remy? You fell real deep for this to just be some pickup due to the fact that you were a loner. But we felt real comfortable throwing that, yeah, you're trying to steal from the white man, I ought to kill you, you fucking monkey, you all stick together. Oh, deep down, you really wanted to say that shit. That's why Omar came and knocked on the door, even though Tyra told his ass to let it go. Like, nah, nigga, I feel like you walking around here calling me a nigga in derogatory terms in your mind. Don't hide up in here. Go and say that shit. But a lot of that time in the middle of the film is used to rush and shoehorn in that relationship between Deja and Malik, when it probably should have initially began much early on in the film to have some true build-up. Because she comes so later on, probably due to the fact that she couldn't act, whatever, it just makes you really not identify with it. You do care, but you can tell that the director is really trying to prove that, Deja fights with this and don't fight with this. She has her head on straight. She is having a really positive effect, or trying to, on Malik, and trying to keep him on the straight path and, kind of teach him the workings of the world in her mind. You don't always have to react we can, get our shit on the back end. Let's do what we got to do to get to where we need to be. Why are you so worried about the small things? Always forward thinking. But they did it so briefly and so rushed that you barely cared about Deja and barely really cared about their relationship. Now, what was slapping in those moments was the soundtrack and the music being played, especially when they have the costume Halloween dance and they bring in some of that Michelle. Now, Michelle comes into films, especially black ones in the 90s when shit was about to get real. And we got into soul searching at the dance. Come caress my saddened heart. Oh, come on, girl. My sunrise and my darkest dreams. Girl, don't play. Come into my darkened room. Come where I'm waiting. Come on, girl. Just get that deep bow. I'm waiting here just to please you. Oh, girl. Like, y'all gotta know about Michelle. I call her Michelle because we here. We know each other. You made a fool of me. Tell me what. She comes with the magic for these films every single goddamn time. That damn Hostella got a groove back. Let me have you. Hey, let me disappear inside your arms. It gets real deep when Michelle comes through. Like, and who can forget the real reason why any of us low-key remembered the film at all and even cared about Deja?
I'm sure I can please you. I'll kiss you in anywhere. Yes, lovey, especially there. And there we get into That's All I Ask of You.
We have Professor Phelps drop a little bit more knowledge. Peppermint. When it comes down to it, nobody's gonna wanna hear your empty rhetoric. We're gonna wanna know what are you planning to do? Everybody can make statements, have statement pieces, take a stand, but when it comes down to it, what is anybody actually prepared to do? What is your plan? We know the racism is here. We know things are hard. We know things are totally and injusticely unfair. But what are we going to do about it besides being mad and having a chip on our shoulder? All we can do is go on and have a plan and really do something. You being mad at the world, us planning fights, trying to get, minimal payback, it's only going to take you so far. You cannot walk around like the world owes you anything, because it's not like we going to get that shit anyway. We've also had Remy, who has dropped out of school. I love that moment when we refer back to Malik coming to the door and coming to the room and confronting him about the things that he was mumbling under his breath, and then you sped off. But now that I'm here, it made Remy realize that, even though I shaved my head, even though we can viciously jump somebody as a group, as a gang with the Aryan Brotherhood, it's really hard for me to stand my ground here alone. I'm still frightened, I'm still scared, I'm still shook. Malik was still able to come to this door and still instill that fear. So the next best thing for me to display my superiority and have some control is to take out this gun. And we eventually have the group test him to take that a step even further. After we have this whole blowout fight in the middle of campus, and we have, Buster in the middle. Hit me through what the land, so what you saying, yo? Buster was not acting here. Yo, man, my shit all swole, son. Like, John, direct your people. If you really want to party with me, let me see it's what you got for me. Put all your hands where my eyes can see. It was no acting on Buster's part whatsoever. But after this whole campus fight, this blowout, we already have that bad acting from Buster, and then we have even worse acting coming from Tyra. We've had Remy already drop out, and then you show that they are very much so on the same page, even though that they really don't know each other and they are on some totally opposite shit. Remy has dropped out and isolated himself with his group, and in turn, courtesy of what happened to Malik on campus, he's isolated himself. I don't want to mingle with people. I feel, safer with my own kind. Oh, so you just gonna drop out? Huh? You just gonna drop out? I can see it in your eyes. Put this ice on your face. Malik, what's wrong with you? Oh, Tyra, no. No. I love that we have the dynamics of Fudge very much so influencing Malik, and we have the Nazi group leader influencing Remy. All the while, nobody recognized that Fudge was a super duper senior. But for him to be a super duper senior and be there for 6 or 7 years, he could afford to be that. How Fudge afford that? How Fudge afford that? It was very much so giving privileged and probably financially well off. Fudge was sitting there the whole time, very much so complaining. I said, charge y'all stay using my computer, my paper. Fudge had a printer. Fudge was set the fuck up, rolling up blunts, had the music blasting, was very much so divested in the school. Oh yeah, I know Professor Phelps. Y'all probably took his class, once, twice, maybe 3 times. Fudge had been there a minute, and he could afford to be. Fudge wasn't on no scholarship last time I tried. He disdained the whole aspect of a scholarship and what it mean, and you ran for the school and run nigga run. Who was Fudge's parents? And the same goes for Remy and the leader, where we have Fudge, hey, we won one fight. What about these 400 or so years of oppression? This doesn't mean anything. We have to do better as black people. And, y'all some slaves. Y'all hear a bill. Y'all go running. Meanwhile, who's paying for your education, bruh? Then on the other hand, we have Remy. It's all, white power and going out like this. You have to prove yourself. And Remy, have you ever shot anything? Have you ever shot any meat? Meanwhile, I don't even think anybody in that group has shot a single fucking person or did anything outside of harass people of a different race. But actually taking out the authority and the planning to shoot and attack a group based on color, physically harm, kill people? I don't think they had did that, but the leader saw an opportunity to pull someone in like a Remy who felt the need to prove himself in order to do it. He hadn't called nobodies, but he knew Remy would. From that very moment of seeing Remy on that stoop, he was targeted and he saw an opportunity. He's in college. He can probably get into spaces in, realms that we can't. We're, not as educated. And he's just so hard up to prove himself that he might actually carry out shooting somebody. Now, if he doesn't, is he going to be put out of the Brotherhood? Absolutely not. But the fact that he actually would just really amazes me and really proves who I am as a leader of this Nazi, that I got him to do something like that and go out with white power. Now, when we get into the actual moment in the shooting in the Peace Fest, Remy at this point is absolutely a nervous wreck, along with being indecisive, along with being brainwashed, along with believing the rhetoric that has been spat at him by this beloved group of Aryan brothers. Now, we've also had Malik, who Deja the entire I really love you. I love you, Deja. Deja was trying to get him to calm his ass down the entire movie. Every action has a reaction. So when we have him go up there and start shooting, he is trying to retaliate and shoot at Malik, misses because they're running, and hits Deja instead. Poor, sweet, innocent, I fight with this, Asia gets shot, and it's some of the most dramatic. I was like, I did not remember this being this bad. Child, no, baby, no, go on, log off. No, it was terrible. But the bad acting just wasn't coming off of Tyra. I was here a little bit with Malik, Omar Epps too, and Omar can act. But here in the, it was just, let me fix my wig. What? It just totally took me out of the scene. I can remember back in the day, it was like, oh, not Deja. Here I was like, oh, not Deja, not I fight with this. It just wasn't as impactful when you look at things from a movie standpoint and what Deja was really supposed to represent and her getting shot was supposed to represent. It really infuriates Malik's character and has him run up the stairs and go get some help, boy, Peppermint. Go find someone, Malik. Meanwhile, she's dying on a thing. And you have Kristen and her dilemma with her sexuality. I really did not care for her storyline and how she transitioned from being assaulted, not reporting it, to being really open and conflicted with her sexuality and having to choose between dating 2 people and all in the span of the same year. Yeah, But we have Malik go and try to retaliate and kill. You gonna die. You gonna die. You gonna die. Like, whoa. It was a lot. And you have them tussling in the whole situation with the gun. Of course, we have those same corrupt, like, so somebody fired the campus security. Somebody fire campus security. Of course, they go for Malik and they beat down the brother. Because, of course, you know, we got to beat down and restrain the brother. But when it came to white ass shooter Remy, hey, no, everything's okay. We try to, you know, de-escalate the situation. Oh, no, you're gonna take me to jail. No, everything's fine. We know that, you know, you have a gun and it's pointed to us, and we just beat down this black man that didn't have a weapon in sight and was being attacked, and girlfriend just got shot. But no, we're gonna handle you with kid gloves. Shit still holds true to today. You know, everybody knows the black people get shot and the white people walk away. I'm sorry, that's just how it be. But Remy at that moment has a whole revelation and says, you know, I'm sorry. I love the symbolism of the no exit on the door. Like, I can't come back from this. I really just, like, no, Remy, you shot 2 people. You didn't just shoot Deja. We saw just Deja, but Remy shot 2 people. Just like, oh my God, I just wanted to be an engineer. I just wanted to come to school. It wasn't supposed to be this way, and takes his own life. It's like, oh, I love how the white security, no, oh God, no, not a white man dying. No. Deja, oh God, Deja, you gonna die. Like, if they would have scaled back on a whole lot of that, and John Singleton would have horned it, you know, pulled in a lot of these sporadic scenes that were just enforcing a lot of the stuff that we already knew were trying to be stated in the movie, this would have been a much better film. But we have him, you know, deal with Deja's death and that whole situation and everybody paying their respects. And at that moment, he has his final conversation with Mr. Williams, and you see that he's gained more knowledge of self and what he needs to do and what running really means, and tries to find his position. And, you know, he's a bit more well-rounded, even though Deja had to die for us to get there. And we also have him and Kristen actually meet and introduce themselves to each other for the very first. Oh my God, it's all my fault. You know, we have Kristen cry some white tears. Oh, it was my fest. It's all my fault. She's like, oh, okay, no, it's cool. It wasn't your fault. We tight. But unlike before, when we have her clutching her pearls in her purse, because there's a nigga there, we have them shake hands, and it's just like, you know, I'll see you around. And we have Malik take off running into, you know, the atmosphere. I don't know. He just, you know, he's just indecisive about, you know, what it all really means in the bigger vision. We have Fudge graduate. I love it. Smile for the camera. OG, triple OG. Like, bitch, I ain't smiling for this shit. And we end with, you know, that unlearn coming across with the American flag situation, and, you know, Remy, you know, descending off into white power. Oh, yeah. I really love you. I love you, Deja. It was cool. Well, you guys, that was my review for Higher Learning. I hope you enjoyed it. Please drop down and tell me what you thought about this film. If you have not seen it, go watch it. If you have not seen it in a minute, go rewatch it and then come back, because I was like, this is hitting, but it ain't like hitting like it would before. And I found myself just getting like, wrap it up. But it by far is not a bad film at all, and it can still be appreciated in many ways. I hope you guys subscribed. I hope you like. Let's get those comments going. I'm gonna read them. I'll see you guys next time for my next video.